Today, I'm gonna react to a new video that talks about new species of Tyrannosaur that has been discovered. So this is pretty exciting. I love when there's always a new fossil of some type of dinosaur, mammals, any reptile species besides dinosaurs, fish, plants too. I always find those things interesting. So let's see.
Tyrannosaurus has always been, the fan favorite dinosaurs. But
Yeah, classic T-Rex skeleton. I really find fascinating the T-Rex teeth and just in general those big dinosaur predators, how big the skull and thick and long the teeth were. It's really good for crushing bones. They must have massive uh, bite strength to be. They probably could easily crush bones with a single bite and take chunks of meat at once.
what's interesting about it to me is not that it's this gigantic apex predator, but
So this is Jared Voris, PhD candidate, Department of Earth, Energy, Environment, Faculty of Science. Cool.
more so the biology that it centers around it. Like, how did it get to that point?
We had set up a trip for him to look at Tyrannosaur species in Mongolia, and
Hmm. Mongolia, okay, that's cool. There definitely are a lot of dinosaur fossils you can find in North America, Asia, pretty frequently. Also in some parts of Africa and Europe. They pretty much were everywhere. You do find fossils of dinosaurs in some islands. Those type of dinosaurs were more specialized, like today's tropical island species. In general, island species tend to be very specialized. The problem with islands, they tend to lack resources. So a lot of the species will either go extinct or they really had to evolve in a way to adapt to limited resources that they have. They have to adapt to conditions where they don't have as much food, water. It's small. That's why a lot of times we see birds on isolated islands that cannot fly. They just walk. So, they literally cannot fly, which is very interesting. That's why they adapt. But then at the same time, they don't really have like a natural predator that will kill them, that will hunt them down and all that. So they probably can be fine for the most part, just not needed to fly and have another source of potential energy being used and more body part that needs to and your body needs to kind of adapt to and energize and have more food to deal with. So less body parts, less calorie needs you can say to really keep going and survive can be a little bit smaller. So islands are interesting in that sense too.
while he was examining specimens that had sat in collections for almost 50 years, I had received a text message from Jared.
So this is Dr. Dala Zelensky. Maybe she's Russian or Ukrainian. Associate Professor, Department of Earth, Energy and Environment, Faculty of Science.
And said, I think we've got a new species here, darling.
We made the discovery of a new species of dinosaur, essentially the ancestor to T Rex. That had featured.
That's cool. I love when they find these type of fossils. It's really interesting seeing more and more ancestors of the T Rex and basically, and having an idea of the ancestral background, of what took millions of years to get the T Rex, and then what we have left over of birds, because they're the only dinosaurs alive today. All the non-avian dinos are dead, went extinct.
That we've never seen before, even in our smallest, youngest apex predatory tyrannosaurs that have ever been found. This thing was completely new, and it made for a really interesting, just kind of aha moment. So the fossils actually belong to two different individuals of the same species. And what was really cool is that these basically both have some overlapping bones, so we can show that they are the same. But it also
Interesting. So they found fossils of the same two species. I don't know if it's male or female, juvenile, adult, but that's interesting.
includes lots of bits of the skulls. And these are basically the bones that were showing us all of the different features that made this unique from every other Tyrannosaur that we've ever found.
As part of the description of the new specimen, we came up with a Mongolian inspired name, which was Khankhuuluu.
And the name means Prince of
Khankhuuluu. Okay, interesting. Interesting.
Dragons, or the Dragon Prince. We wanted something that would basically say what it was or what these animals were like before they became those apex predators, before they became the king.
I couldn't
Yeah, that was point is really to show because T-Rex would not be roaring, and it would not look exactly like that either. That's still very outdated. And understand why they put in this video, probably to just get young people to kind of be interested, like kids and people in high school especially. But yeah, don't expect dinosaurs like T Rex or uh, any other one to be roaring. They like Triceratops and all that. They didn't really roar. Like with birds, birds don't roar, right? They can sing, what we consider singing, the way they communicate. They can do low, deep sounds. I think the shoebill birds are a good example of what type of sounds. Maybe the non-avian dinos like T Rex and Triceratops, long neck dinosaurs too. May have sound like, or the long, deep type of sounds that kind of can travel easier on air, you know, while on ground, because different way of communicating compared to how marine species communicate underwater. So it'll be interesting, like those reptiles there. So they probably have low ground vocals. We see that with elephants, where they can make really low sounds, like vocal low sounds that we cannot hear ourselves. It's too low for us to hear. But with new technology, we found they communicate very frequently with low sounds that can travel for miles. We notice that with insects, a lot of insects communicate much more than we realized in the past. New technology demonstrate that some insects have complex communication where they make certain sounds that we cannot hear at all, but they are communicate constantly. Even arguably strategizing some type of method of hunting or defending themselves. So even insects can be complex too. I say even because a lot of people have stereotypes that insects are dumb and they go purely by instinct. But there is some complex level of behavior, especially with sounds, the way they communicate. It's not that simple. As we talked before, they're a lot more complex than it seems. So with dinosaurs like T-Rex, T-Rex probably hunting groups, at least maybe when they were teenagers, maybe not as much as when they become grown adults. But it looked like they'll have maybe the intelligence enough to work together to collaborate as a team to hunt down a bigger prey or heavier prey, whatever the case may be. And they probably communicate like birds do, probably make sounds, some deeper noise. Should be a bird might be an idea of how they sound like. They probably won't have singing high pitched voices as some smaller bird species we see. They probably have more deeper growls and type of sounds to communicate. That'll be my guess.
Believe that,
Definitely they will not be roaring like a lion or tiger though.
you know, it's actually essentially rewriting the evolutionary history of tyrannosaurs. And
I don't know if they would be rewriting. I think they're exaggerating a bit there. I think he's just adding knowledge to what was already known to a new species, give an idea of how the ancestral background of the T-Rex was. I don't think you're rewriting anything. Just adding upon the current evidence or new evidence, and we have an idea how they evolved better than before. That's really, yeah. I don't think you're rewriting the whole evolutionary history of T-Rex. It's just making more connection how they used to be in the past to the point it was them, and how they went extinct, and now we don't have that anymore.
tyrannosaurs include T Rex. It includes a number of other tyrannosaurs like
Yeah, more than likely, T-Rex did not look exactly like this,
Gorgosaurus.
or this predatory meat eater dinosaurs probably not really look exactly like this, like really menacing, horror like. That's more exaggeration. We're finding more and more evidence that dinosaurs have more particular facial features and textures. Even some things that avian dinosaurs, aka birds, don't have. Potential like chubby cheeks. I may read about that. There's evidence that a lot of dinosaurs have chubby cheeks, pouches, including predatory ones, which means that help them with chewing, biting down stuff potentially. Maybe not chewing as much normally, but maybe biting down, holding food. So this, so the local dinosaur will probably not be menacing like this. They'll probably be probably closer to how a bird would look like, with mix of a crocodile alligator. How to know? But I don't think they look exactly like this, like they do in movies.
It's an Albertosaurus. So within the family tree, we've really shifted how Tyrannosaurs
Interesting, right? The size, how big they were back then.
are actually related to each other, or how different species are related to each other.
So now the next plan is, try and look more for fossils of new Tyrannosaur species here in Alberta.
Okay, I mean that was pretty cool. I like seeing all that history and you know having an idea how this species evolve over time. It's pretty cool. Um, I would say that as technology keep improving, we're gonna probably be able to find more fossils. It's hard to know exactly how many non-avian dinosaurs existed back then. We don't know. Uh, we know we found thousands of different bird species. We found, if I'm not mistaken, right, thousands of non-avian dinosaur species too. So for sure, there's some amount that we still don't know. It's hard to know everything. Not everything has fossilized skin, and we can have a more of a idea how they will look like. Most of it is going to be very hard to know exactly how they look. We can find out that the way Jurassic Park portrayed them at that time, the tech and what we believe they look like to now is pretty inaccurate. They're probably not so menacing looking, like this exactly to the T. Um, and I think that's more accurate. I don't think a lot of these species that a lot of these dinosaurs we see in documentaries and films are so accurate to how they look exactly in the past. I would still argue they probably look more, maybe like shoebill birds and other bird species than not. Maybe a mix of again a crocodile and a bird, kind of ish. Maybe feather looking. I don't think they look exactly like this. Very menacing. I don't think that's accurate based on what a lot of evidence been finding out more and more. Dinosaurs did not look exactly like this, especially not the predator ones. And I think that that makes more sense. This is just straight up just putting skin on the skeleton. This is how they look. That's not really super accurate. So I think as time goes on, we're realizing that they have more of a complex look and not so menacing, but more just another animal species. Among the reptiles that exists at one point. You can argue at some point in time the non-living dinos were the smartest species too in that time, and at least in terms of land based animals, they were probably the smartest ones. And for a while during the time period, um, some marine species are the only smart ones like squid octopuses, but I would argue that on land, dinosaurs were pretty much the smartest species for a long time. And birds also were pretty smart. Mammals are taking over a little bit later in large numbers. Once the non-avian dinos died out, mammals really started getting more diversified. And you can argue bigger brains are happening in multiple different species. Even though birds are, in general can be very intelligent, is specific more with birds compared to other reptiles. Most reptiles are not dumb. They can still be smart, like Komodo dragons can be at least as smart as a dog, if not as much as a pig, etc. But they're not as diversified in terms of level of intelligence as birds. Birds are really the more Einsteins we can say of the reptile world. While with mammals, we have many different intelligent and emotionally connected individuals, just like birds. We can go all the way to a cow who's very emotional and they have a more self awareness of the surrounding. We can see that with horses, dogs, cats. You can see that especially with the great apes like us and our cousins, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutan, etc. We see that with whales a lot, with orcas, dolphins, blue whales, sperm whale, and so on. So I think there's more diversity of intelligence among mammals in comparison to reptiles. But reptiles seem to be very, s- you know, controlled with dinosaurs, especially birds, and certain other lizard, reptile species like Komodo dragon. But it's not too much high level intelligence and teamwork as much we see with mammals, where a lot of them are more willing to work as a team in very complex way, like wolves, lions, orcas, hyenas, chimpanzees, etc. We don't see that as much with reptiles. And in general, social animals tend to show high level intelligence than species that are not social. They're more solitary, just in general. Not saying they're not intelligent in any way, shape, or form. They are, but in general, when you have to work as a group, you tend to show high level intelligence. This is from the University of Calgary, from 7 days ago. So that will be around June 11, 2025. Very interesting video. I don't know if they have anything else here, so I'm gonna read the description and just skimming through it. So they have more information about the discovery of the specific species, on their website right here, which is interesting. Yukaguri paleontologists identify closest known ancestry of T-Rex or Tyrannosaurs in general. So yeah, this is basically the article of the video I just watched. So I'll put that in my description too. So you guys can read it if you want to, whatever this may be, if the video is not enough. And let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this video. If you enjoyed the video, if you have any new perspective, what you think dinosaurs, specifically non-avian dinosaurs like T-Rex, looked like back in the day, maybe we can talk about it, share information, things you may know, maybe new species you may have found out about mammals. It doesn't have to be dinosaurs specifically. It could be plants, bacteria. That's fine with me too. I find this interesting. You can share with me. We can talk about it. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Watch this TikTok files on TikTok. And again, I have the Patreon. It's $1 a month to support me if you're enjoying the videos. It's not a requirement, but it's up to you if you like to do that. $3 tiers, exclusive content, which I'll be working on making some videos for that. Specific ones that I will get in trouble in YouTube to make. And that's pretty much it. I hope everyone just have a safe and good day.